Okay. I think we're live. Maybe. Does not look like there's anyone here yet, though. I'll give it just a minute or two and see if anybody hops on here. A couple people jumping on. I might be a little bit early. I think I did a announcement on Instagram that I was going to go live in about 30 minutes, so I could be a little bit early. Georgia in the house. Awesome. Welcome in. Looks like we got a few people showing up here now. Nick from Grand Rapids, how's it going, man? Explorer 4x4, sup, dude? Dexpat, Don, how are you, man? Good to see ya. Mississippi, Seattle, wow. Wow, people from all Oklahoma, Dallas, Fort Worth area. Man, you guys down there in Texas, it seems like watching the news up here, you guys are just being devastated left and right with the whole coronavirus thing. I think you guys are #1 in the number of cases now. Ohio in the house. Mike Rogers from Maine. Oh, there's Patty Leadham. Hi, Patty. Lummox Overland Adventures. I was just reading your comments on my YouTube or my Instagram post. Ha. Oh, awesome. Overland 80 finally made a live show. Welcome, my friend. Andrea, how's it going down in Texas? How are you and your family doing? Virginia, I got Stephen from Virginia, Arizona, Colorado, New England, Arkansas, El Paso. Wow. Reno, Nevada. How's the weather down in Reno right now, Victor? I was just not too far from there. I just got back from a couple of days trip. Actually, I left on Tuesday and got back on Friday, I think. Yeah, so 4-day trip. That was a long trip, man. Let's see. We've got Kentucky, Yuma, Arizona. I'm so jealous, Catherine. So jealous of all you guys down in Yuma. Seeing all the pictures on Instagram of people that live down there and all the nice, beautiful, warm weather you guys are having. And it has been snowy up here. George, you made it. Southwest Idaho overlanding. Looked like a pretty awesome trip you just did. I enjoyed watching that video this morning with my coffee. Desert Survival from Vegas. John Gordon, Northwest Florida. Edgar Plummer, West Virginia. Corey from Temecula, California. Corey in Temecula, man, I hear you guys have a curfew down there. That's crazy. I think that's the first, if not the only state in the nation that actually might possibly, other than like maybe during Katrina, I think they had a curfew or something like that. But otherwise, that was a pretty big deal. Sarah from Chelan, Washington. Seaside. Oh, that reminds me, if any of you guys did Oregon post, it made me think about this morning on my YouTube feed, this video popped up. Apparently it was the 50th anniversary of when they blew up a whale with dynamite on the Oregon coast. I think it was in Florence. So if you guys are bored after you get off of this live feed, oh, hey, we got a super chat. So this is the first time ever I just turned on super chat. So this is cool to see how this works. So watching from New Jersey, Cash, really appreciate the support, my friend. Really appreciate the support. That's awesome. So everybody say hi to Cash82, 082, man, for chiming in on the super chat. Well, I'm going to get rolling here so I don't keep you guys for too long, but I'll tell you what has been on my mind, or what was on my mind to talk about this Sunday, mainly because, like I said, I just got back from this huge trip out into literally some of the most remote country that's back in the state. And what happened was I was supposed to be going on this trip with my buddy Josh that owns Lolo Overland. And you guys are all familiar with Lolo Overland by now. They're kind of my partners in crime, my friends. I'm a little bit of a brand ambassador to them, but I more just think of it as we're friends and loose kind of business partners and such. So Josh and I were really excited about going on this trip together down there. And then I don't know, I don't want a HIPAA violation here, so I don't want to disclose too much. But rumor had it that Josh may have been exposed to some sort of an infectious disease that is rumor has it is traveling around our country. So he had to cancel off. He needed to quarantine himself, so he had to bug off of the trip. But it was going to be such an awesome, epic trip. I didn't want to cancel the trip, so I decided to go alone. And basically what that meant was normally I kind of have a limit of to how remote I will go when I'm overlanding solo, which, as you guys know, I am overlanding solo all of the time. Oh, Patty, thank you. I see a super chat come through from everybody. Say hi to Patty Leadham. I think that's how you say your last name, Patty, but correct me if it's not. But anyway, so I decided to go alone. But what I was thinking about is usually my rule of thumb for being in the backcountry is I like to stay in areas where when I'm solo, I'm no more than 2 days walk from a place where there might be, where there's a road that might have some traffic on it. So, but this country I'd been wanting to go through a long time, so I decided to go ahead and risk it anyway. But it really made me, because I was kind of pushing the envelope of my comfort zone of where I would like to go to, and really with the weather being up in the air and everything, it was one of those decisions that could have proven to not be a great decision. Now, for me personally, it's worth the stretch. I don't have a lot of people that depend on me or anything, so I can afford to take a little bit more of a risk maybe than a lot of you that have families and kids and wives and husbands waiting for you back at home and everything. So I decided to step out there. Robert, my friend, thank you. And Jacked2Jeep. From one YouTuber to another. So everybody say hi to Jacked2Jeep, Jacked, 2, the number 2 Jeep, and say hi to Robert B. So anyway, to get back to my story, so to give you guys an idea of the trip, so I left Primeville pretty early in the morning, about 5:30 in the morning. I drove all the way down through Brothers, down to Riley, drove south on Highway 395, all the way down to Lakeview. And then a little way south of Lakeview, I started cutting my way east back across the lower portion of the state. And I actually dropped down into Nevada. And about halfway across the kind of the state of Oregon down there, I started to head north. And I basically was trying to work my way through on, unknown, uncharted routes. But basically, there's an area through there where it's possible to travel about 140 miles or so as the crow flies without ever crossing another paved road. So there are a couple of somewhat better traveled, well-maintained gravel roads that cross that country, but in essence, that's a long way. So as a crow flies, if it's somewhere in that 125 miles or so, I knew that I was going to be pushing a couple of 100 miles, maybe as much as 200 miles or even more than 200 miles to get through there. And in the process of that, I would be in country where there would be no cell phone reception, where there would be no possibility of having any kind of communication with anyone, where if something happened to my rig and I broke down or I got snowed in or something like that, the only alternative would be for me to be able to walk out of there. So it really made me think about this, the whole idea. Now, a lot of you guys know a few years ago, I was out on a trip and I actually had one of my Jeeps catch on fire. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about, number one, is this idea that, we all go out there overlanding and in our own style of adventures. And some of us like to go farther or more remote or take more risks than others. But at the end of the day, the thing that I think is the most important for us to keep in mind is the fact that when we go out there, our livelihood is to a large degree kind of dependent on our gear and our vehicle and everything. So I think how mindset plays into this, to me, is kind of the key to survival. And the mindset thing is to go into situations like that mentally prepared for the fact that something could go wrong and having a plan for that. But more importantly, just being mentally prepared for it so you're not completely paralyzed when that moment does happen. Because I'm here to tell you guys that now with, I've been doing this kind of thing for my entire life. And when my Jeep caught on fire, that was obviously a very traumatic kind of event or whatever, but it's not the first time something had gone wrong out there for me. So the thing that I would like to tell you guys is if and when you go out there in the backcountry, just understand that if you do it enough, it's not a matter of if something is going to happen, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll go your entire career out there in the backcountry and nothing bad will happen. But the truth is there's a really good chance that there will. So having said all that, and I'm sure you guys have heard me preach that thing before, but the big thing is just go out there with a plan, have a good time. It's not to be paralyzed with fear about it or anything. It's just to have the gear and have a plan for if something does go wrong. So when I embarked on this trip, I knew what that meant is I was going to have probably several days walk, or could potentially have several days walk out of there. But one cool piece of gear that I added to my thing, and I think I mentioned this on the last live stream, but it didn't really fully sink into me how much reassurance this was going to bring me until this trip I just went on this week. Who else is naked? Well, I'm not wearing any pants, Burke. So everybody say hi to Burke in typical fashion. His question is, who else is naked, huh? So anyway, one piece of gear that I almost didn't even set this thing up and take it with me. Josh at Lolo Overland had sent this thing to me. He carries these Garmin Inreaches. Awesome piece of gear. And the funny thing is, it was about 10 o'clock at night, literally the night before I was rolling out of town the next morning. I decided on a whim that I would go ahead and set this thing up. So I activated it. I got set up with a plan. And the cool thing about this is as soon as I got out there, I was like grateful. I had a new level of reassurance out there. So for those of you that don't know, what the Garmin Inreach system does is it allows you to have emergency communication via the satellite network when you're in areas that don't have any cell phone reception or any data connection. Oh, Sarah's there too. Wow. This is and she's confirming, yeah, Jamie's definitely naked, which I'm not really sure how comfortable I am knowing that, but it doesn't surprise me knowing Jamie either. So anyway, the Garmin Inreach system was a big reassurance out there. What I did was, as soon as I left the pavement, I sent Josh a text message on it. Again, I had no cell phone reception. So I sent him a text message to let him know I left the pavement out there. And then I was able to check in with people at least once a day. I would send a text message. So what I got a plan for $24 a month, basically, with this system. And that allows me to send up to 40 text messages a month. It's not the kind of thing that you want to sit around in camp, just text them back and forth with your BFF or whatever. But for me, 40 text messages a month will give me plenty of communication. Let's say something did happen. I might need to send some messages back and forth to give somebody directions to get into me. You can also ping them by sending GPS coordinates, etc. on here. So anyway, to make a long story short, man, Josh, Lolo, appreciate it, man. The Garmin Inreach was a huge reassurance there. I don't want to give away all of the crazy stuff that happened on that trip, because then there won't be any reason for you guys to watch the video, which I already started working on this weekend. But let me just tell you guys, I hit like every kind of weather out there. It was sketchy. The roads that I got into, some were not passable based on all of my best pre-navigation work, my pre-recon work on Google Earth and Gaia GPS and everything. In spite of all that, I encountered roads that were just not passable. I had some interesting surprises on the trip. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that video. All right. So let's see. We got any. Oh, Andrea, thank you. Let's see. Oh, PDX trailer guy. Nice. Sounds like he might have the Garmin Inreach too. So Jim Walsh is thinking about doing the the rooftop tent thing, and he's just asking me the question, am I 100% sold on Free Spirit? So here's the deal. If I'm being 100% honest, I think there's probably, a lot of rooftop top tents out there that will work just fine. Yeah, the answer to the question is yes, I am sold on Free Spirit. I've talked about this before, but the main thing is, and a lot of it might just have to do with my relationship with them, but I have a personal relationship with the owners of the company, the people that work there. And I have a lot of confidence that while all of their gear may not be perfect all the time, they care about it. I can talk to them. They want to fix problems when problems come up. No company is perfect. There's always issues when you're producing products like that get used in as wide of a variety of situations and as wide of a variety of styles as rooftop tents. But at the end of the day, they're a great product. I've never had one fail me. I've never been left miserable in one out there. And I have had other tents and other rooftop tents that have done that. So I feel 100% confident. Obviously, I go in some of the most remote places left in the country in Free Spirit rooftop tents. Tammy is asking me if my wife and my children go with you. So I don't have a wife and I don't have children here, so no, my wife and children don't go with me. I could go on about that. That's an interesting one, but no, as of yet, I haven't found someone that is super excited about going out there, at least on the extreme adventures and everything that I do, and that's okay. It's not everybody's thing. So Scott M suggesting that I get a ham license. That's one I see a lot. So Lummox Overland Adventures on there, he commented that it seems like Free Spirit is well insulated compared to others, and that is one thing. They're now on their second generation of their tri-layer insulated fabric, and basically what they've done is they've taken 2 layers of fabric and sandwiched a layer of insulation in between them. And that actually, I really do like that technology because it does a couple of things. One, it allows the fabric to be a little bit more breathable because there's multiple layers of it to shield you from the weather and the wind and everything. So they seem to be a little bit more breathable, which helps a little bit with condensation. Condensation is always going to be an issue with tents. That's something that I get tons and tons of questions about with people is they get a rooftop tent and then they're concerned because they get condensation in there. So here's the deal. A rooftop tent, even though it costs a lot more than your average ground tent, it's still a tent, right? At the end of the day, it's still a tent, and tents are always going to have challenges with condensation. The optimal system, in my opinion, for a tent, as far as using in extreme cold temperatures, is multiple layers of fabric. So either an inner shell with an outer storm shell that allows there to be a little bit of a air gap in between those two things. So you have breathable fabric that's the inner part of the tent, and then your waterproof layer is on the outside. But at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of ventilation to prevent condensation. Otherwise, the dynamic, the thing that everybody wants a tent to do in the wintertime is keep them warmer than being outside, right? And so that's where your issues with condensation begin, is when there's a differential between the inside temperature of the tent and the outside temperature of the tent. And then sometimes we can even compound that a little bit by using like our propane or butane heaters inside tents, things like that. Our bodies put off moisture when we sleep. So condensation is just a thing that you just have to figure out. You just have to deal with it in the wintertime. It's just the way, it's just, Daniel, how's it going, man? It's just the way of things out there. So something else, I had a couple of people say they wanted to see my EDC. And for those of you that don't know, EDC is everyday carry. And this kind of ties back in with the survival theme that I wanted to talk a little bit about in this video. So there's a level of EDC that I have on my person, and then there's a level of EDC that I keep relatively handy, and then there's a level of EDC that's in my vehicle. And the way I kind of look at survival gear is that every stage of gear I want is designed to get me to the next level of gear that I have. So what I mean by that is what I carry on my person is enough survival gear to get me back to my vehicle or back to my camp, or, you know, back to where I have the next level or the next higher level of gear, right? So generally speaking, every single day, what I'm going to have on my person is, I'm just going to show you guys what's in my pockets right now. So I've got a knife. This is a Benchmade AFO. And it's a little gummed up because I've been using it for cooking. But check this out, guys. Look at that with the Coyote Works logo on it. Thanks to my friend Austin, Rado Outdoors. You guys can follow him on Instagram. So knife is the first thing, a good solid knife. And then I always have some kind of a flashlight, obviously, in my pocket. I always have a lighter, some kind of a Bic lighter on me, and then my phone and my wallet. So that's my base on my person. Oh, there's one other thing. I usually carry a handgun on me. And most of the time I carry this Glock 19X. This particular one has a light on it. Even though my pistol has a light on it, I also carry a light too, because obviously I don't want to point my gun at everything that I might want to illuminate with a light. So as far as the light goes, just something decent. This is a Streamlight here. A lot of times when I'm at work in the office, I carry this small Streamlight Mini. As far as knives go, you know, I showed you guys the Benchmade AFO, AFO. Here's a zero tolerance knife. Generally some kind of a fairly robust. Here is a Strider SMF. Another fairly robust folding knife. So generally speaking, something with that 3 to 4 inch blade range, somewhere in there. For lighters, I like a good old fashioned Bic Mini for the work day. Sometimes I'll carry a full size Bic when I'm like out in the woods and stuff like that. But usually the Bic Minis, I'll just throw a couple of those in my pocket. So let's see, knife, lighter, yep. My wallet, phone. Yeah, it's true. Patty says I do try to somewhat frequently talk about my EDC. Well, I like what Zach's rolling with, G43s on both sides of the hip. Oh, Maggie McNeil, my little niece, is on here. Hi, Maggie. How are you? Oh, yeah, good point, Sarah. So Sarah out in Idaho is reminding me to mention that I also generally always carry some instant coffee packets or some cold brew or something like that along. Oh, yeah, and Jamie, I think he put some pants on now, but he's mentioning that you can do meth now in Oregon. So I think perhaps suggesting that maybe I switch to that I have the option of switching to something stronger than caffeine if I want to. All right, guys, let me look at my notes here. I actually had a plan for this live feed, but you guys keep distracting me, man. So seventh, DOF asks, what is Lolo doing to your truck? So this is kind of the next little section that I was going to get to. Let me just real quick look at the, okay, I talked about mindset, the remote trip, survival, some stuff like that. Yeah. So before I move on to the next topic, any other questions about, because it seems like I do get a lot of questions about what kind of gear I carry, what are my thoughts on, because I do spend so much time out there solo, you know, what do I do in case of emergencies, or what are some of my plans there? So Word Warrior asks, he's asking the question, do I take my rifle on each trip? You know, I don't always take my rifle. I always take a shotgun. I have a 12 gauge shotgun, a Remington 870 heavy duty shotgun that I always take with me out there, but I don't necessarily always take my rifle with me. I don't carry pepper spray. Oh man, they're going fast. Bug spray. I always have bug spray with me. Sarah. Water filtration. I do carry water filters in my system. So like most things, I believe in having multiple ways of accomplishing critical tasks. So I carry water filters. Life Straws and Sawyers are the most common ones I have. So for example, in my vehicle, most of the time, you guys know I have kind of my bug out inch pack that sits in there. So it's got water filtration stuff in it. And then I also have in my truck box in my Jeep gear, I've got water filtration stuff. And then I have a little EDC pack. In fact, I'm going to grab that and show you guys. So this Under Armour pack is this is kind of my daily EDC bug out pack that it goes everywhere with me. So if I get in somebody else's vehicle to go on a trip with, I'm going to grab this pack and take it with me. So this has got water filter in it. Just got some basic survival gear in it. All of the stuff that I would want if I had to spend an emergency night or something like that. Let's see, Kirk 189 on the super chat. Kirk, thank you very much, my friend. He says, really enjoy and support what I do. I really appreciate that, man. You don't have any idea how much the support from you guys, how far that goes to keep me rolling on all this. Let's see. Yeah, 1 is none, 2 is 1, 4 is 1 more. I like that. Yeah. So here's a good question. Mid-10 Matt, his question is, how much am I into the prepper lifestyle, if at all, i.e. food storage, self-sufficiency, etc.? If so, is it for a specific event? So here's my answer to that question. I would say that based on the commonly recognized definition for being a prepper, I'm probably on the borderline of what would consider being a prepper. So here's the deal. You know, I grew up in a relatively poor family, but we lived out in the country. We lived rurally. So I grew up in a lifestyle where we had to prepare for things like power outages and, you know, the well going down or whatever. We lived in the desert, so stuff like that happened. So, you know, I grew up with a culture of being prepared for a variety of situations. And so when the power went out at our house, us kids knew there was a cabinet where there were candles and batteries and flashlights and things like that. The dad would grab the camp stove out of the garage, set it up on the kitchen table. He would load it up with white gas. We would cook dinner off of the Coleman stove or whatever. So I do believe in being prepared. So for me personally, I don't necessarily prepare for a specific event. Daniel, thank you, my friend. Oh, he's paying me back for the Crooked River earrings. You got to check out his video over on the Lolo Overland site. You should see the video that Daniel did an awesome job editing this video. And we gave him, if you guys don't know what this is, we gave Daniel a set of North Fork earrings. He almost got it right. He's calling them Crooked River earrings. They're actually North Fork earrings. So if you guys haven't seen those, check it out. So back to the question about being a prepper or whatever. So yes, I do believe in being prepared. Rather than prepare for a specific event, though, my philosophy is to prepare myself for a variety of different plans, right? So I prepare myself to be able to shelter in place in my home. I prepare myself to be able to leave my home in my vehicle. I prepare myself to be able to leave my home on foot. And I prepare myself to have an alternate location to go to. And I even prepare myself to be able to survive out in the backcountry for a period of time if I needed to. Now, that is a whole other story. And if you guys have been following me for a long time, you know that I'm really enthralled with the idea, or really intrigued with the idea of, you know, is it possible for a person with modern gear to be able to carry enough gear on his back to be able to walk off into the wilderness and survive for an extended period of time? And I actually have a pack that's kind of my bug out inch pack that's kind of designed with that idea in mind. And we can debate and argue all day long whether or not that's possible or whether or not I'm capable of doing that or not. But but it is a theory that I do experiment with. I have, as you guys know, I haven't done many videos on this for a while, but I do a couple of times a year. Drag that pack out, live out of it for a couple of days, build shelters, practice all, my kind of bushcraft survival skills. So that's a really long way of saying that I do believe in preparing. I am prepared to be able to shelter in my home for an extended period of time. Let's just call that, 30, 45 days or so. My philosophy is that if some kind of a disaster occurred that lasted longer than that, where I couldn't get supply or couldn't get things in my home, I live in a neighborhood in town, so there's going to be other issues at that point. There's probably going to be violence to deal with and stuff like that. So town's not where I'm going to want to be. So I generally have a plan to be able to shelter in place for up to 30 days, all the basics, food, water, hygiene, cooking, all of the basic kind of functions in life I have taken care of in that environment. And then, stage 2 is being able to get in my vehicle and drive away. And in the extremely unlikely possibility that my vehicle wasn't an option, I can grab my pack and head out on foot too. So let's see. Pepe for Prez. Yeah, Dan says you can go out to and beyond a year. Yes, Patty, I agree with you 100%. Patty says it seems like Oregon politicians are on the crazy train with all the COVID madness, riots, etc. What will you do if a vaccine is mandated? Well, so this is now you're asking very specific questions that, I'm putting out here in a public forum. And so hopefully you guys can kind of read between the lines and understand I'm very careful with what I put out there publicly. But what I will say is this, is I do not believe that it's within the authority of the government to be able to legislate what drugs that I put in my body, especially for something that there's very little evidence is having catastrophic effects yet at this point. So I guess I would just say that generally I'm not a huge fan of vaccines. I don't usually do the flu vaccine. In fact, I've never done the flu vaccine. I usually get the flu, get a cold or a flu once or twice a year, sometimes not at all. And I guess the way I feel about it is, I'm okay with that consequence. And the flu vaccine, I think they say has like 20 to 50% effectiveness. So, I don't really see the point of it. And I'm not a real big fan of just injecting stuff into my body that's not really accomplishing a lot. Real guy outdoors, Crafty. He's asking me if I have any more caches that I will locate, open up. So I do have several out there, and one in particular that I have been thinking about getting back out and digging up. I think it's probably coming on almost 4 years now since I've checked it. So I probably will do that. Unfortunately, the ground's starting to freeze now, so it's not going to be an easy thing to do this winter. So I may have to wait until next year on that one. Yeah, that's interesting. Lyra Long was just commenting. I think hopefully I said that right. Her theory is that the airlines, banks, and stores will require proof of vaccine, and that may actually be that may be the way it shakes out. Reggie is saying, oh, here comes the COVID police. I have a friend that calls them the Branch Covidians. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, Zach's got some solid advice. Don't kiss the wrong people. I'll try to keep that in mind. Yeah, I usually don't have a lot of opportunities to make out with very many different people, but in case that ever happens, I'll keep that in mind. All right, so what Dom says, don't forget the fire extinguisher. Man, that joke never gets old. I actually have two, I think maybe even 3 fire extinguishers in my Jeep right now. All right, so what else? What's coming up for Coyote Works? So my next video that'll come out will be a video of this last trip that I just went on. So that'll be, hopefully I'll be able to fit it all in one 40-minute long video. Hey, which reminds me, I've been curious to ask you guys, my philosophy has really evolved into, like, when I do my big trip videos like that, it's a really immersive experience for me when I go out there solo. And my thought is always, I want to create a video that's like a show that you guys can like sit down and watch. And like in my mind, what I always picture, what I want is I want like you guys to be able to look forward to that good solid 38, 40, 45-minute show that you can grab a coffee, grab a piece of pie and a dessert and a tea or whatever your beverage of choice is, grab a beer, grab a shot of bourbon, whatever it is, kick back on a Sunday evening and watch that video. And so that's always been my thing. Like, I really love some of those longer videos on YouTube. Jamie said, oh, he's in quarantine. Poor guy, man, that's rough. So anyway, but I'm curious, what you guys think about that. Do you really enjoy those long videos? There's only a couple of guys on the internet that do those kinds of videos, and so I just can't get enough of them. That Andrew St. Pierre used to do some of them. There's a Four-Wheel Drive Action is another Australian one that does some really long episodes like that. Like, used to be this guy, MCQ Bushcraft. I haven't watched him in a while, but he did a lot of those. Oh, Catherine, thank you. I'm trying not to be expensive. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I'm just curious, if you guys really like those long videos, and sometimes I feel a little bit bad. I feel like what I might be able to do is put out some more short ones in between, but like those long trip videos really they're the ones that are my favorite to do. And I'll tell you guys why, is because I go on the trip and I enjoy that experience, but then for me, I get so much out of it. And then when I come back and I edit that video of that trip, it's like I get to relive so much of that trip, and it just keeps the memory alive. And I really, really, really enjoy it. Awesome. Little Overland kicked into the ammo fund. Thank goodness. We might all need a bunch of that. Thanks, Josh. Yeah. So anyway, I was just curious, and yeah, so I see some people saying that they like the long trip videos. Also really hard on my ammunition supply. Yep. Yeah. I know. And guys, I apologize. Those long trip videos, like, they take a lot. So what I always say is that I plan on for every 1 minute of finished video is probably about an hour of post filming time. So what I mean by that is I go out on a trip and I film the whole trip. And then when I get home, I have film that I have to pull down off of a GoPro, off of my phone, off of my iPad. I usually film like my little clips up on my 10 in the evening on my iPad. Then I have my main camera, and then I have a drone. And so the first thing I do when I get home is I have to pull all the footage off of all those things. And then I kind of do a run through of it, delete any crap clips, delete any stuff that, the audio was terrible because of the wind, or the exposure was wrong. It was all, blasted out with too much white balance or whatever. I go through. And so a lot of times, like, even just that will take like 5-6 hours that first time. And then I'll upload all those clips into my editing software, and I'll actually start editing the video. So usually, all told, so if you picture, like, if I put a 40-minute video out, usually that's 40 hours worth of post filming editing time. So, and I have a job, so I have to be able to figure out how to do that stuff in the evenings and stuff. And I don't know, Sarah. Jamie said he got the mono from you. So that's good. It sounds like it sounds like a lot of you guys are enjoying those long videos. which is cool because I also feel like, you know, that's something that not a lot of people do out there. And so, you know, like I said, it's something I really enjoy. So obviously, you know, what you guys see on my channel is a reflection of what my passion is and what my interests are. So what's coming up? So the next video, like I started to say before I got all distracted, was a trip video from this last epic trip. I'm also working on a holiday gift idea video. Going to do something a little bit different this year, but seriously, you guys hang with me here. This is you would be surprised how many messages I get from people. The most common is like I get messages from like wives or a girlfriend whose boyfriend or husband really likes to go camping or likes overlanding, and they ask questions about what to get for them. And then I always get inundated with them around the holidays too. So this year, I'm going to try to get this done next weekend. So this year I decided I'm just going to do a video on some of my like favorite little pieces of overland kit and gift ideas for people that you might not think about, but that I think almost anybody who enjoys doing what I do would enjoy having. So I'll get the holiday gift idea video out. Hopefully, Josh, you're on here, Josh and Daniel. I think not this week, but the following week, it looks like we'll probably get Grandpa's truck back. So we'll do some kind of a cool reveal there. I'm really excited. I don't even, to be honest with you guys, I don't even know exactly what all is happening to it. I know what I wanted done with it initially was just a little bit of a lift kit, some bigger tires, so I did tires, wheels, lift kit, the lights. Like lighting is really important when it comes to just bringing up a normal factory rig to a base level of performance for the backcountry. Getting good lighting all around it is really important. If you're going to be driving those backcountry roads at night, you got to watch out for wildlife, rocks on the road, hazards, all grandpa stuff in there. I'm keeping some of the grandpa stuff. I don't want to get rid of all the grandpa stuff, but pulling off like some of the like steps, like the truck's like 10 inches off the ground. I don't really need it. I'm over 6 feet tall. I don't need a step to step into it. So, but then Josh has been kind of hitting around like he might be doing a few other little extra things to it. So we'll see. I'm just excited to get back and start putting it back in service again. It's my range truck, and I want to do some more of these long, a little bit less extreme off-road trips. But I'm really looking forward to having. I mean, that truck, even though it's 20 years old at this point, it's a really comfortable truck to drive, and it just cruises down the highway. Be honest with you, much nicer to drive than a Jeep. See, now Chad's making me nervous with CK Knife and Tool. He's saying that he thinks that they're doing a custom glitter paint job on it. Now, I'm not a big fan of glitter paint. I'm not actually really a big fan of like fancy paint jobs at all. So a couple of other cool things coming up. Now, since Chad with CK Knife and Tools on, then he'll hear about this first. Right now on this video, he doesn't know this yet, but I really want to get a trip together, Chad, with you. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now, so even if I need to come up your way or whatever, I really want to make that happen. The whole COVID thing has really messed it up as far as like, you know, road trips and restaurants and even hotels and everything's all messed up. But I really want to get up there to Chad's workshop and get to work on the Coyote Works 1.0 and 2.0 survival knives that Chad's made. I want another one of those, and I would actually like to work on one myself. I think it's super cool. I love watching the process that Chad posts on, mainly on Instagram. He is where I see a lot of it, but he posts videos working in the shop, and I just think he's truly a craftsman. I love the attention to detail that goes into the Coyote Works survival knives, and for a long time I've just been wanting to get up there and get to be a part of making one. So a couple other things coming up. Jason from the Primal Outdoors channel, you guys know you haven't seen us doing anything for quite a while, and that's just been a function of us both being busy and going different directions. But we are going to do a trip. In fact, we were just talking today about that. We want to do a winter trip together. So you guys will see that coming up hopefully soon. I'm thinking maybe in December, Jason and I will get that trip in, and that'll be good to catch up with him. And then also reached out to Donald. I don't know if any of you guys know Donald from Soft Roading the West. I met him briefly on a trip that I did with George from Southwest Idaho overlanding down into the Oahe Canyon country. We met Donald down at Three Forks. Donald was Soft Roading the West. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he overlands in a Subaru. But one of the really cool things about Donald that I've always liked about his content is you can tell he's got a real kind of spirit for adventure himself. He takes off into just some god-awful remote country in that Subaru by himself. And sometimes he meets up with other guys, but he's not afraid to get out there and adventure on his own. So I feel like, he and I have a lot of stuff in common, and I've been wanting to get a chance to spend a little bit more time around. I think we're going to make that happen too. There's let's see, a couple of guys that I just wanted to give some quick shout outs to. Mike from Overland Scout was checking out another one of his videos today. Small channel, newer guy to YouTube and everything, but I really enjoy stumbling across a lot of these smaller, newer channels. I really like the passion. I'm really enjoying seeing more people get into the outdoors and overlanding, and seeing these guys, just with the fresh energy and the new ideas and the new approaches and everything. So Mike with Overland Scout, PNW Explore, that's PNWXPLORE. I think he's been a little bit quiet on YouTube for a while. He's also over on Instagram as well. Obviously Jason, the Primal Outdoors channel, but I mean, he's in a whole different league now. He's kind of arrived in the YouTube world. George, Southwest Idaho overlanding, you guys have seen him now in a couple of my videos. Donald was Soft Roading the West. Stumbled across another channel that I'm surprisingly actually kind of interested in. It's called The Outfit, and it's this couple in Australia who are full-time overlanding in a Jeep Wrangler. So that's kind of interesting. And then I've been watching this guy a little bit, this Steve Wallace, who does this stealth camping, and which, again, random thing, but he camps in like closed state parks and all kinds of things like that. But something else that I wanted to tell you guys about that I use YouTube a lot for. So one more thing that you guys have to search for on YouTube. So I get this question a lot. What inspires me about being in the outdoors? So one of the things that has always inspired me was a show called Bush Tucker Man. So I don't know if any of you have seen Bush Tucker Man. I think it was produced like maybe in the late 60s into the 70s. I don't know, but it's about this guy in Australia, and I think he was used to be military, but then he travels all around Australia. He sets up his little bushcraft camp. He drives around in this Land Rover, and he goes out in the backcountry, and a lot of it centers around tucker, or tuck is an Australian word for like food or snacks or whatever. So he's the Bush Tucker Man. He travels around and eats all this different tucker, and meets up with like the indigenous people and eats their food and stuff. But he just, like, ever since I was young, I remember seeing that show, and it's just so cool. He'll roll in his little Land Rover. Sometimes he's got a trailer. He'll set up a tarp. He'll set up a shower. He'll set up, his whole little camp area. It's just the coolest thing. So search YouTube for Bush Tucker Man. The other thing that I do a lot on YouTube is, and I've got my iPad right here, so I am actually just looking to see some of this stuff. But one thing that I do is I do a lot of searches on here for like history of the areas that I'm going to explore. So I'll do a search for, I was just actually, Jamie and Sarah that have been on here super chatting. Thank you guys. Jamie and Sarah had told me about this place called Silver City in Idaho where there was a lot of mining activity. And so I've just now started doing some research on that area. So I'm using YouTube. I'll Google, Silver City or Idaho silver mining or things like that. So I really enjoy watching a lot of the history stuff that's on YouTube, stuff about old ghost towns, Death Valley. I just watched a really cool one on the history of the Oregon Trail and the westward expansion. watched one called Silver Linings, the early days of Idaho's Silver Valley, which is different than Silver City, but another area where mining kind of took off there. Found a really cool one on Malheur County and Harney County recently. Oh, Burke's got the gold to prove it. Where do you keep that gold, Jamie? Yeah, and George, and that's right in their backyard. Sam Holmes Sailing, change of scenery, cool sailing adventure. Okay, I'll check that out. Oh man, and yeah, so this is another thing. Josh and I, he just reminded me, he commented in there from Lolo. We just started talking about maybe doing like a Baja trip, and I think that would be really cool. What I'd like to do is plan a trip down there, sort of off the beaten path. Hit some kind of known points along the Baja overlanding routes down there, but also hit some kind of off the beaten path points. And man, I think that would be an awesome thing to try to hit this spring. Silver City, Wild Blue Coast got Silver City on the list. North Idaho, Tammy says. Warrior again asked, do I take a rifle on my trips or just a handgun? So sometimes I take a rifle. I always take usually two handguns, the one that I EDC, and then I'll either take my my Glock 34, or now I have that Faxon Firearms FX19 that I kind of tricked out into a Roland special build. But the reason I'll take like that FX19 or my Glock 34 is to have something a little bigger that when I'm in an open carry out there, I can carry a bigger gun. When I'm concealed carrying, I'll carry my Glock 19. But actually, that's not true. About 50% of the time I take my rifle. I was going to say rarely, but it's about 50% of the time I take my rifle. But I always have a couple of handguns and a shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun in there. How do I cook my duck? That's an interesting question that Bearbait is asking. So I don't know if he knows a little bit about my history or not, but I grew up duck and goose hunting and actually loved duck growing up. My favorite way to cook duck, and this is going to sound really cheesy, is to actually just pull the breast out of the mallard, set the breast down, the rib side down, meat side up in a baking dish, put a little bit of rice in it, and a couple of, or one can of like mushroom soup mix in there. You can use either the mushroom soup like dry mix and then add some water to it, but then bake it just like that. Cover it, bake it covered for, I don't know, hour and 15 minutes or something like that. And then pull the cover off for like the last 15 minutes just to kind of glaze the outside of it. And man, that is delicious. That meat will just fall off of the bone there. Yep, Craig Holmes Craig Homie. So hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Saying that it looked like my AR was a Daniel Defense. It is a Daniel Defense. Sarah says wrap with bacon on the duck. That's a good call too. Yeah. Oh, so Bearbait first time cooking duck today. His son got one. Well, congrats to your son on getting the duck. Yeah, it can be really good, but that's my favorite way to do it. A lot of people feel like duck is, I don't know where you're at, but good corn-fed mallard, like I don't feel like is too strong, but a lot of people feel like duck is can be kind of strong and gamey, but I feel like that cooking it in the mushroom soup mix and the rice really kind of mellows it out a little bit. So give that a try. Yeah, and then Chad from CK Knife and Tool is asking if I ever completed or looked into the Utah concealed carry classes. I have looked into that. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. So Nelson Fernandez said, I think a Casey, Brad, Marco, Lolo collab would be epic. I agree, my friend. So here's what I need all you guys to do is I need you guys to send messages on Instagram and YouTube to Brad and Marco and tell those guys that we should do that. Brad and I have actually been in communication for a couple of years now, kind of sporadically. One time he was going to come up to Oregon and we were going to meet up while he was passing through on his way to somewhere else. And that, I actually think something happened and I ended up getting busy on that. Boy, wasn't I the fool. Now he's like huge. I was just watching one of his videos today and they had hundreds of thousands of views. But man, I have to tell you guys too, I mean, Marco too, but Brad just seems like a super cool guy. He's been one of those people that every once in a while we have some communication. He's been one of those guys that I've been able to ask for advice. Thank you, Francis. Good to hear from you. I got distracted for a second thinking about Francis wearing the Coyote Works t-shirt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So speaking of Christmas gift ideas, Coyote Works t-shirts are available at Lowell Overland. Look, Coyote Works logo on the front, American flag on one sleeve, and Lolo's logo on the other. And if any of you guys are open, I need pictures of people wearing the t-shirts to post and stuff. So if anybody's interested, send me a picture wearing your Coyote Works t-shirt and I'll post it on Instagram with your tag. The best way to send them to me is DM me on Instagram. And that way I can tag you if I use them in a post. So yeah, definitely Josh is winning the beard contest. Yeah. So, somebody's saying Casey and Nate from Dirt Lifestyle. I don't think I know. CB Overland. Yeah. I don't think I know Nate. Oh, Nelson said Brad is a lonely conservative in SoCal. Interesting. I have another buddy, my buddy Elias, lives right in that same area. So I could actually do a trip down there. I'd love to go down and see my buddy Elias, and he's like my brother from another mother. I'd like to go down and see him for a couple of days and then maybe meet up with Brad too. But seriously, you guys, go if you can send Trail Recon and Marco Overland X, send those guys messages, encourage them to consider doing a trip like with Coyote Works or with Coyote Works and Lolo Overland. I think I can speak for Josh and saying like, I think we'd be happy to travel down there to meet up with those guys. I mean, there's some cool trails down there. I've done a little bit of like the Mojave Road and some of those places. Now, I will tell you guys, like, I'm spoiled up here because like I just got back from this 4-day trip. I didn't see another soul. Like I don't even know if I passed a car on the pavement after I left Adel. And then once I left the pavement, I literally did not see another person, not another vehicle, not another person for the next 3 days. So that is one thing that like when I go down to Death Valley and the Mojave Road and places like that doesn't happen down there. Like my experience has been like, I mean, any of those places that you run down there, like you're going to run into other people. They're close enough proximity to Southern California and Las Vegas and large population centers like that. But having said that, there's still some really cool places. And, you know, maybe that's a thing. Maybe Josh and I do a practice warm weather run and we take our Jeeps down and meet up with Brad and Marco. But they got to agree with it. So you guys got to help us and put some pressure on them. And Josh, you should do a shout out on your channel too, and your Instagram, and tell people and tag Brad and Marco in that, because they'll get a kick out of it. I think, you know, they're good guys. They understand that, you know, us small channels like us would be really thrilled to get to hang out with them. And Brad's one of the Trail Recon's one of the earlier kind of Jeep oriented channels that I ever stumbled across on YouTube. Yeah, not too many people, that's for sure. Okay, so Josh from Lolo Overland also going back to the Coyote Works shirts is saying that he's restocking shirts now. And they'll have the new designs dropping in the next couple of weeks, along with hoodies, hats, and decals. So yeah, we've been working on that stuff for a little while. So it'll be cool to have some. So soon we'll have some. Probably the next thing I think will be the hoodies. I think that come out. Yeah, man, Mr. Rocklander says maybe y'all could do a YouTuber wheeling trip, man. I think we'd love to do that. Josh and Daniel, if you're still on here too, we got a couple of people asking about 3Xs. I like Nelson Fernandez. It's obvious. Idaho needs to annex Southeast Oregon. Man, I agree, my friend. That's an interesting deal, though. I have to tell you guys, man. There's definitely a contingent of people. I have to tell you guys, man. There's definitely a contingent of Oregon that are considering moving to Idaho, and some of them that even have. But I don't know the way Boise's going. I don't know how much time you guys got out there either. Awesome, Daniel's here. My brother's there. Patches. I like the. Yeah, George would have to change his channel name. Yeah, State of Jefferson. Oh, Chad says the video froze. It looks, yeah, it seems like it's going good on my end. All right, guys, I don't know what else. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. Otherwise, I think I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up. We're just over an hour. I had quite a few people that had asked about doing these live videos a little bit more regularly, and I think especially a lot of it has to do with it being COVID right now, and there's just not a lot of other stuff going on. All the normal events and stuff, or a lot of people are limited on what they can do. So, I had a lot of people reach out to me and tell me they really enjoyed us doing the live one together last week and asked me if I'd consider doing it more. And so, I don't know, what do you guys think? But I'm up for it. To me, it always seems a little weird to just kind of sit in my spare room and talk to you guys. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the comments and the opportunity to interact with you. Hopefully you guys know it. It's killed me not to do the group overlanding trip, the open invite trip. You guys are literally the best thing about this experience for me is the interaction with all of you guys. So, I really enjoy it. So hit me up with some feedback if you guys do or don't think it's worthwhile for me to do these. Maybe while we're under the lockdowns and the quarantine, maybe I do these lives every Sunday, or maybe if you guys enjoy them, I just continue to do them after that. They're certainly easy to do. Sunday's usually a time when I'm just kind of around the house anyway. So, you guys let me know. Yeah, cool. So it sounds like there's some comments coming in that that you guys are up for that, doing a little bit more. Oh yeah, so Daniel's just reminding everyone, 5% off your entire cart at Lola Overland use the coupon code Coyote. So there's a coupon code at Lola Overland Outfitters, Coyote, simple. Type in Coyote at checkout and you'll get 5% off everything in your entire cart, guys. All right. Well, any other questions, guys? I think with that, I'll just kind of wrap it up, man. Again, I really appreciate all you guys taking the time to hang out with me. I'm actually right now reading this book. These history books are available for almost all the little towns and counties in the state and everything. So I'm actually looking back at some of these historic pictures and stuff in this book of some of the areas that I've traveled through. So that's kind of my project for the evening. I'm trying to do a little bit of research for some upcoming videos that I've got. So other than that, man, I hope you guys are having a happy holiday. Daniel, my brother, love you too, my friend. I'll see you very soon. I can't wait to see you guys and see what you've done with my grandpa's truck, man. So all of you guys, I just really appreciate your support. As always, want to remind you guys that I do have a PayPal donate button. That'll be in the description down below. So for anybody that wants to make a monetary contribution to my channel, you know, as I talked about last week, my goal is to keep my channel independent, keep it free of any paid corporate sponsorships or anything like that. I like my little team. I like the guys at Lolo. I like the guys at Free Spirit, and the rest of it, if it can just be supported by you guys, man, that is just awesome. So really appreciate the contributions, and all of your comments and interaction just helps keep me motivated and fired up to just keep getting out there and doing this more, man. So Jamie, always a pleasure. Chad, Lone Wolf, Nelson, Angie, Sarah, always a pleasure. You guys, well, I guess it's done. It looks like everybody's decided that we have to do this again next Sunday. So it's just goodbye for a week. I was going to tell you guys all to have happy holidays and enjoy time with your friends and family and doing something you love. Hey, don't be intimidated by the winter weather, man. If you guys, any of you guys that are still just fair weather campers, man, let this be the winter that you dip your toes in the water and go out there when it's a little bit cold, man. Once you get the gear sorted out and get your system, it's actually a really, really awesome time to go out there. In the wintertime, there's no bugs, there's no snakes, there's no scorpions, there's very few other people out there. So there's a lot to really love about going out there in the wintertime. Kevin, my brother, Kevin Raymond, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that. And I will definitely keep sharing all of my great tips with you guys. Thank you guys for all of the super chats and everything, the support here. And if you have questions, send them to me on my Instagram or put them in the comments down below this video. I'll read through them, and then I'll usually try to come out these lives with a few kind of topics in mind, whatever's been on my mind. But I really like just kind of going with the flow, and hopefully you guys do too. And I just try to watch the comments and answer the questions that you guys have. And so, yeah, man, it's all good. Really appreciate you guys. I am going to sign this thing off and get some dinner. So I love y'all. Thanks again. And I can't wait to see you for, well, next week's live video and on my next adventure, man. Cheers, guys. Coyote Works out.